everyone. I'm Harlan Snyder, the Good Values Guy. Today, I want to share a story about a small, random act of kindness that affected two lives in a big way. It's a perfect example of how rewarding it can be when we practice and honor the value of patience. So the story goes like this. One evening, after a long and trying day of traffic and rushed people, a New York City taxi driver arrived at the final stop for his shift. He honked his horn, and after waiting a few minutes, he began to honk again. Because it was his last stop, he felt the urge to pull away and call it a night. He wasn't in a great mood, and he was ready for his day to be over. But something inside of him pushed back. So he put the car into park and he walked to the door. When he got there, he knocked, and after a few moments, he heard an elderly woman's voice. "Just a minute." He then heard the shuffling of bags moving across the floor. And then the door opened. It was a small woman in her 90s with a soft smile, wearing a print dress and a pillbox hat with a veil pinned on it. As she opened the door, the taxi driver caught a glimpse inside the house. It looked as if no one had lived there for years. All the furniture was covered in sheets. There were no clocks on the walls and no knickknacks on the counters. "Could you carry my bag?" the lady asked. The cab driver walked her slowly down the steps of the front porch to the cab. Once in the cab, the lady handed the driver an address and asked, "Could you drive me through downtown?" "It's not the shortest way," the driver answered. "I'm in no hurry. I don't mind," she said. "I'm on my way to hospice." The driver and passenger shared a quick glimpse in the rearview mirror, enough for her to see his concern, and so she continued. "I don't have any family left. The doctor says I really don't have very long either." The driver quietly reached over and shut off the meter, and then he asked, "What route would you like me to take?" For the next 2 hours, they drove through the city. She showed the driver where she once worked, the neighborhood where she and her husband had first lived, a furniture warehouse that had once been a ballroom when she was a little girl. There were a few parts of town that she asked the driver to slow down, and she would sit staring into the darkness, saying nothing. After a couple of hours, she suddenly said, "I'm tired. Let's go now." They drove in silence to the address she had given him. When they arrived, 2 orderlies came out to the cab as soon as they had pulled up. They must have been expecting her. The driver opened the trunk to take out the suitcase. As he shut the trunk, she was already in a wheelchair. "How much do I owe you?" she asked, reaching into her purse. "Nothing," said the driver. "Well, you have to make a living," she answered. "There's other passengers," he responded. Almost without thinking, the driver bent and gave the lady a hug. She held on tightly. "You gave an old woman a little moment of joy," she said. "Thank you." The driver gave a final squeeze of the lady's hand, and the two turned to go their separate ways. As he got into the car and glanced over to her, the door to the hospice had closed behind her. He didn't pick up any more passengers that night. In fact, he could hardly speak. What if that woman had gotten an angry or impatient driver? What if she got someone who refused to get out and go to her door? Who refused to take the time driving around the city with her? The taxi driver couldn't shake the feeling that this single moment may be one of the most important moments for his life. Thanks for letting me share this story with you today. I would like to offer a challenge before I go. Be patient in conversation and choice. We can treat our interactions as just that, an interaction, when in fact, there may be an important moment waiting to be discovered. Of course, not every interaction has this level of potential, but we'll never know unless we try. Take a few moments today to find more patience with the people in your life. This might be listening more intently to your spouse, enjoying a conversation with your kids, taking time to check in with a neighbor, or even listening to a coworker struggle with something outside of the work. Whatever it is, give it your attention. Look for the lesson, the opportunity to give encouragement, or often the most important, simply be present with that person. It might just mean the world to them. Thanks for tuning in. Have a wonderful day and enjoy the rest of your week.